Alright guys, I wanted to cover real quick today raising chicks, and you can see we've got some chicks out here. We've got 2 dozen in each of these brooders. Let me back up so you can kind of see. So we normally just keep this in the barn unless we are brooding chickens, and we bring it up to our deck. Makes it easy. So just going to go over a list of things that you'll need if you're going to get your chicks and start raising chickens. The first you would want is to get large wood chips, and you're going to want the large ones so that they don't eat. The small ones they'll try to eat and then cause them some issues. So go ahead and get the large wood chips, about $5 for 8 cubic feet, and Farm Store has a lot of different brands, so whatever will probably work just fine. You're going to need a light holder, and a lot of times they'll have a safety thing, so if they fall, we remove that because we've got them hung where it's impossible for them to fall, so we don't worry about that. You're going to need a 250 watt red light. It's a heat lamp, and that'll help keep them warm enough when they're chicks. You're going to need to keep them 95 degrees the first week, about 90 degrees the second, and 85 degrees the third week. The easiest thing to do is just have a brooder large enough that they can regulate the heat by either moving away or toward the light. So if they get too warm, they can move to this side. If they need to warm up, they can go to that side. So that's the easiest thing to do, let them regulate their own heat. And you'll need a feeder. You can see in here, these chicks are a few weeks old, so we have a hanging feeder and we have a hanging nipple waterer. So once they're a few weeks old, you can transition them one by one. When you're putting them in, you'll touch their beak to that water nipple, and they will learn to go up and hit it for water, just like that. And the hanging feeder will help out a lot from getting all the debris in the feed itself. They'll kick up all that wood chips and you'll just be miserable. They'll kick it into the feeder. And let me show you the different types of feeders here. Okay, when you first get your chicks, you're probably going to use one of these type or this type here, depending on how many you have. If you've just got half a dozen chicks, that's fine right there. So these you just unscrew, fill up, and dump it over. This one we found, it's kind of easy when you have quite a few, because once they kick the debris, you can open it and kind of slide off some of the wood chips and add some more feed. Fairly easy as well. Most farm stores will have these options. And next you'll need a water. So here's different types of waters. Now you can start your baby chicks with this. I can tell you it's going to get annoying trying to refill that all the time. It just doesn't hold that much. I would not even start with this. I would just go ahead and get a gallon water. And here's a couple options here. And I can tell you I would pick this one over this one. And the reason why is this one, as you can tell, leaves room for them to drink, but not necessarily just get in the water. They're not exactly the smartest animal. So they will get in the water, poop in there, kick feed in there. So this one makes it a little bit more difficult. It's also more difficult to get it flipped over correctly. This one kind of screws in. I just prefer this one overall. So now you'll use those probably for about the first 2 weeks, and again I would switch to something more like we have right here. Just they don't dirty the water. It stays very clean. Now we don't do antibiotics or any shots or anything like that, and we've had relatively good luck with healthy chickens and egg layers and stuff. So keeping their feed clean, keeping their water clean, it also makes it a whole lot easier on you. Keep the water on the more shaded side so the water stays cooler. it's so much less work with these hanging feeders. You can see down here we've got the same thing. We really should have the water on this side, but the lamp's kind of pointed away from the water, so it still stays decently cool. And have a way to slowly raise your bucket. As you can see, we need to raise this bucket because they've already grown another few inches. And they can still turn their beak and get the water out. But slowly you want to adjust that up to just make it easier. Same with the feeder. If you have a couple screws up here, you can start wrapping your string around it and raise your feeder. It's pretty simple. Now as far as what to feed them, you're going to want to start with chick starter, grow crumbles. You're not going to want to do any pellets or anything, and you can see those are medicated as well. It usually comes in a 25-pound bag for about $10. Almost all farm stores will have that. And after about 2 weeks, you're going to want to introduce some chick grit. And I forgot what this costs, $5 or $6, but this is probably enough to do 2 dozen chickens. You mix this in their feed, or you put a separate dish and they'll go peck at it. This is grit that helps them and their gizzards start digesting and processing this starter crumble. But they don't need this until basically week 2 or so. And that's really all you need to get as far as feed is concerned. And the last thing you're really going to need is some sort of brooding setup. You don't have to do anything quite as extravagant as this. Just a box with wood chips at the bottom. Something easy to change out. If you've got 5 or 6, you could get a tote or something and hook one of these heat lamps and start raising them like that. Now after a few weeks, we're probably going to be moving ours to a chicken tractor out in the yard. Keep them safe from snakes. At their size, snakes will still try to eat the young bird. And also you're going to want to log your hatch date, or the date that you buy your chickens. And roughly about 6 months you'll start receiving your first eggs, and after 6 months you will be very excited to get those. Anyway guys, hope this video's kind of simplified it. I know when we first got chickens it was a little bit confusing, seemed overwhelming, and it's actually pretty simple. You may actually do what we did, end up buying more chickens than you need. That's usually what happens if you're going to raise some. A lot of times you throw in a few extra. You can see they're very curious. And what we're doing is we've got a variety. We got chicks from all over the place, so we've got 6 different variety. We wanted to have kind of a pretty mix of different types of birds. So we've got silver lace, all sorts of different ones, Americanas. You can see any. Anyway guys, hope this helped you out. If it helped you out, please like the video, please subscribe. We'll be covering more stuff on the homestead, try to help other people get started. And once again, leave comments below. If you got any questions, let me know. Good luck guys.